All right, shout out to the fam. Much love, much love, much love. Appreciate you guys chiming in on the Tuesday. Tuesday, shout out to the fam. Much love. Hey, fam, we got some news, and of course, it's not really news. We knew eventually that this guy was going to get released. I think he kind of, I guess, he was giving him some more opportunities because really this should have happened several games ago, man. Blake Grupe is now officially in the street. And this is kind of an interview that kind of foreshadowed that. I'm going to put this and let you guys listen to it. This is his final interview as a Saint. And the reporter asked him about the missed two field goals in the Atlanta
Do
game.
you worry about your job in a situation like this?
I mean, what's that going to do for me? There's nothing that is going to. There's nothing that is going to positively impact myself. Why would I think about that?
You can see toward the end, he kind of wore it on his face, man, that hey, you can't miss field goals in this league. The Saints, I think his percentage dropped to like 70s, like the 73, 74, and I think after the two misses. I think it was like around 69% or something like that on the season. Drastically bad. Saints put Blake Grupe in the street. And I remember this was a kicker the Saints picked up under the Dennis Allen administration when they unceremoniously traded Will Lutz, who just signed a contract with Denver, and Sean Payton. So Blake Grupe, one of the guys that Dennis Allen left with us, was a kicker that just kind of fell apart this year, man. He could not find his stride. He was really shaking. The Saints had to waive him in his third year. So Saints' patience with Blake Grupe met its breaking point when the team waived the third-year kicker today. Decision was made after Grupe, who signed with the Saints as an undrafted free agent in 2023, missed his seventh and eighth field goals of the season in Week 12's loss to the Falcons. Five of Grupe's misses have come from inside 50 yards this season, including two of five from marks between 40 and 49 yards. Both Grupe's misses against the Falcons from 38 and 47 yards missed wide right of the upright. So it puts him in the street. With Grupe out, the Saints are planning to sign former LSU kicker Cade York to the practice squad. A source with knowledge of the situation confirmed the Saints will add York after a trial Tuesday that included the 24-year-old and veteran Justin Tucker, the latter of whom received his first NFL workout after a 10-game suspension for violating the league's personal policy conduct. 16 women accused Tucker of inappropriate misconducts during massage therapy sessions. But York has a career just over 73% field goal rate in 23 games. He's a former fourth-round pick back in 2022. York spent time with the Browns, Titans, Giants, Commanders, and Bengals. A journeyman, nonetheless, after a strong training camp in which he missed one field goal attempt, Grupe's season got off to a bad start immediately. With misses in each of his first three games, he went 18 of 26 on field goal attempts this season, and his conversion rate was 69.2. That is horrible. That ranks dead last in among NFL kickers. The league's average for NFL kickers is 84.8. And really, this was something that was supposed to be done a long time ago, like early on in the season when you just missing those type of moves that's going to put you in the street. So Grupe spent any time with the Saints in the first place was a surprise that he beat incumbent Will Lutz back in 2019. Lutz was coming off a couple of down years at this point, having converted just 74.2% of his field goal attempts in 2022 after missing 21 season. Grupe connected on 1% of his attempts as a rookie, did 87, but his production cratered this year. I don't know what happened, but the bottom fell out. Meanwhile, Lutz has signed a contract extension with the Broncos, whom he's made over 88% of his field goals for, 78 of 88 in parts of three seasons. He was named team captain prior to the season. So unceremoniously marches out Will Lutz. Blake Grupe, undrafted, takes over and implodes in his third year. I don't know what the problem was, but you never can tell with some of these kickers. The rule would kind of leave him alone onto himself and let him figure it out and be gentle with them because it's a mental game. I don't think that's the case with Sean Payton. I remember watching videos of Sean Payton talking to his kickers, and he was kind of rough. I remember there was a couple of games ago. Y'all put one in the chat if y'all remember with Coach Payton walked out onto the field before a game-winning field goal from Will Lutz and told him, "Hey!" And Will Lutz turned around and looked at him. He said, "Trade on through." And the guy shook his head and went out there and kicked the damn ball through for the win. So, I mean, this stuff about them being mental, although Sean Payton doesn't buy into it, but You know, he sure did tell Will, let's ask that in that Denver game, and he actually went on and kicked it on through. So yes, indeed. So they put Blake Grupe in the street, man, and and they signed Cade York. Also, there was also some information to kind of pass y'all guys, pass by you guys. Saints signed former Packers wide receiver after free agent tryouts as well. Shout out to Saints Wire, who kind of talked about this thing. Here's a new face at wide receiver. The Saints have held free agent trials for multiple position groups on today, and former Green Bay Packers wide receiver Samori Toure signed with the practice squad per Adam Schefter. He's listed as 6'1", just under 200 pounds, and has caught 13 catches for 130 receiving yards and a touchdown in his 22 career games. He doesn't have any experience at punt off of kick returns. He played college football at Montana and Nebraska before the Packers picked him in the 7th round of the 2022 draft. He spent last season with the Bears and most recently a member of the Broncos practice squad, right? A corresponding move is coming out, but now he's one of 4 receivers on the Saints practice squad, along with Dante Pettis, Ronnie Bell, Jaquan Jackson, who just signed last week. So this is some stuff to talk about. Chris Olave, Devon Belly, Mason Tipton, and Kevin Austin Jr. are still on the 53-man roster. Trey Palmer is eligible to return from injured reserve whenever he's healthy, while Jalen Polk will have to wait until 2026 to be activated. So the Saints having this going on as they sign in a few people. And this is pretty much what we got right now for you guys. So the Saints making some moves. They put Blake Grupe in the street, signing former LSU kicker Cade York to a deal, and picking up another wide receiver right now. So the struggles of Blake Grupe end as we move forward. Now, a little bonus information for you guys to kind of talk about with AK-40. We already briefed you on the situation that was going on with Alvin Kamara and his injury situation, which they are looking at. But it was a question. A good article put out by the Times-Picayune mentioned Alvin Kamara's resurgence has faded, and it's creating questions about his potential future with the team. What is his future with? Let's get into this article. Kellen Moore had to be corrected when he first said that Alvin still was being evaluated for the ankle injury he suffered in Sunday's loss to the Falcons. The Saints coach meant the running back had hurt his knee, right? Kamara already had been dealing with an ankle injury. Oh, yeah, sorry, Moore said. Yes. Moore's mix-up easily can be chalked up to a mental mistake, but in its own way, the error was yet another way Kamara was forgotten by the first-year coach. For whatever reason, Kamara's usage and effectiveness has not been the same under Moore. The 30-year-old is in the midst of his worst statistical season of his career, as averaging career lows in yards per carry and catch. Now he's hurt again, right? The lack of production raises uncomfortable questions for the Saints. Is this a sign that Kamara is finally on his last legs, or is it a reflection that Moore may not know how to utilize him properly? I will say that is the problem. That's been what I've been saying. He doesn't know how to use Alvin. Will Kamara's dip cause the Saints to cut bait with the running back after the season? Remember, Mickey Loomis did walk up to him and ask him, "Hey, where do you want to go?" He said, "Nah, I want to be here," so maybe that's some foreshadowing. The answers aren't clear, but Kamara isn't having the season the Saints are used to seeing him. There's a lot of positives. He's really played well. Moore said he's been in some of these challenging situations. We haven't been able to get the running game going to the best of our ability. I think it's a lot of its explosive play. We haven't been able to generate the explosives, and that is something we have to continue to evaluate. Moore is correct that the Saints haven't consistently gotten the running game on track this year. The offensive line, particularly the interior, has struggled no matter who the running back was, whoever takes the carries. While Kamara averaged 3.6 yards per attempt in 2025, other backs around the roster are under 4 yards per carry at 3.9, including Taysom Hill in that equation. And 9 Kamara average drops to 3.4 yards per carry. But the problem with the run don't explain why Kamara's effectiveness in the passing game has also cratered. His 5.6 yards per catch is down from 8 yards, and he's being targeted far less than usual in past years. Kamara typically finishes either first or second in team targets, but through 11 games, AK-41, 39 targets, ranked fourth on the year's on the year's squad. So there have been far fewer screen runs for Kamara, who also hasn't lined up in the slot or out wide as often. The age factor, however, cannot be ignored. Kamara said in 2024 that he didn't feel anywhere close to having running back body syndrome, a diagnosis he said people like to give running backs approaching their 30s. That season appeared to be true, enjoying a bounce back campaign last fall, including a stellar 4-touchdown day against the Cowboys. The resurgence is partly why the Saints rewarded AK-41 a 2-year, $24.5 million contract extension. But Kamara looks a lot different at 30 than at 29, according to Next Gen Stats. His minus 95 yards rushing over expected is the second worst in the NFL, and his yards per carry is the fourth lowest among 48 qualified rushers. Kamara's ankle injury suffered in October may have affected those numbers, but his explosiveness continues to be a concern. In 2023, he had just 3 rushes to go longer than 20 yards, all of which occurred last season. If the Saints want to move on from AK-41 in the offseason, according to Over the Cap, New Orleans could clear $8.5 million in cap space by designating his release as a post-June 1st cut. Such a move would split up the $18.2 million left in dead money on Kamara's deal over the next 2 years. Now, Kamara, whose contract expires after 2026, has often said he wants to stay with the Saints. He did so as recently as last month when threatened to retire if moved at the deadline. He told reporters that he'll go, quote, drink a pina colada somewhere, end quote, if traded. I've been vocal that I don't want to go anywhere. I've said it countless times. Y'all know. I think everybody knows that. The fan base knows that. Kamara said then. The fan base is wondering how much he has left in the tank. So this is some of the stuff that they're talking about with AK-41 and about his usage with Kellen Moore. And listen, Kamara is getting a little old, but I've often maintained that Alvin Kamara, to me, is one of the best conditioned athletes the Saints have. At any given time, he's ready to jump in there and play football. It doesn't matter. He has a relentless and unmatched off-season workout program that kind of likens his flexibility in when the season kicks in and starts. A lot of what's going on with AK-41 is tied to the fact that how Kellen Moore and Nussmeier are using him, and they're not using him in the way, putting him in situations where he can have success. They don't know how to use him. They treat him like a regular running back when he can actually be used in the receiver role. He can be used in running. You can put him anywhere on the field. You can do the same thing with Taysom Hill and all this kind of stuff. And it's really Kellen Moore and Nussmeier's imaginations of how to use these players. They don't know to the full extent of how good these players are and how they could be used in this offense, right? So that's what I'm seeing on tape. By the way, for our Patreon family members and YouTube membership families, the film work for the Saints and Falcons is out on our channels, Patreon, as well as our YouTube channel. Membership can watch the hour and a half breakdown, ball down of this really pathetic film. But in the end, what we're seeing with the Saints over the last 12 to 13 weeks, and I've been saying it all season, they don't know how to use these players, not in harmony and synergy and chemistry with each other within that system. So it's a lot of stuff that has to be worked out. But when you start seeing how bad they're functioning and how I think I equated it and I tallied it up over 12 weeks, if the team is averaging 5 practices a day over the last 12 weeks, then that's like 60 practices. And they still looking this shabby and this bad in 60 practices. You can add an additional 20 practices to it. It won't make a little bit of difference if they're not grasping the principles of whatever this dude is doling out to them. So in the end, Blake Grupe is done for the Saints. They kick him on the body. Cade York is next up, and I've kind of moved the Saints into next season to see if they're going to be in a row and looking for a kicker. Now they said they signed Cade York to the practice squad, not to the active roster. They also signed the other wide receiver and bring him in here. They'll have a corresponding move. So maybe we'll see what the Saints do in terms of who will be the starting kicker against the Miami Dolphins coming up on Sunday. Whether that'll be Cade York or maybe to give Charlie Smith an opportunity. But why sign Cade York, a veteran, if you don't use him in that capacity? A lot of people thought that Charlie Smith should be given a chance. Why not? It's not like the Saints are going anywhere in terms of making any wins or things happening. And this move was really late in the game. So just to be honest with you. So in the end, Blake Grupe is gone and the Saints move on to the next kicker, man. And it simply is what it is. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to brief you guys on that. Shout out to you guys in the stream. Much love. What's up, Chantel? Good to see you. Young City 9, OG Jerry. Good to see y'all. Brother Derek White is in this thing as well. Roll Slim, all the fam. Good to see y'all in the building on this Tuesday broadcast as well. So anyway, what's up, Bastion? Shout out to Bastion. Much love to all you guys out there. V Griffin, I see you, man. Appreciate y'all. Nola J. Yeah, he said it was all coaching. I agree with you, Nola J. Shout out to you, brother. Yeah, it was. It still continues. What's up, Molly? Shout out to you. Says Molly says Q should Kellen Moore give up his play. I would. That looks incredibly bad if he gives up his play calling. But the weird thing is, I think he's still a better play caller than Nussmeier. Just to be honest with you, I don't think the play calling improves if Nussmeier is calling the plays. You know, that's the really weird part about it. I think Kellen Moore is actually a better play caller than Nussmeier. And it's him and Nussmeier together to, these things. And the part is, I don't know what they're looking at, fam. I don't know how these men break down film. I don't know what they consider what's good and what's bad. I don't know, uh, what the process of thinking is in terms of if you want to really make improvement, you know, what's your process in improving as, okay, I'm gonna get this guy another game to get it right. I don't know how that works in their minds. All I know is if I see an issue or a problem, I want to immediately not sit up here and waste time about it. I want to remedy the situation as fast as I possibly can so we can get back to progressing, because usually those errors are stopping us from having a success. And I want to get to there as soon as I can to remedy that, to cut that off, to get rid of that so we can get back to being progressive there. So that's my thought process. I don't know what these men uh, think about what progress is. I really don't, because my opinion is I think a lot of what they're doing is really slow and really late. The cutting of Blake Grupe should have happened at least 3 to 4 what at least 3 games ago. At least a month ago he should have been gone. We were saying it then. The guy was missing a lot of field goals. And you wait till like the team got 2 wins and they're 2-9. So we're gonna cut the kicker. I mean, you might as well just have kept them for the rest of the year. I mean, what's the purpose? You're 2-9 now, right? So I mean, I just don't understand. I don't get that part of the game. You see what I'm saying? From their perspective, all I know is, listen, I'm going to succeed, and I'm going to make the proper moves to succeed, regardless. It's not personal to me. At the end of the day, it's business. If you're not handling your end, I got to get you up out of here. You know what I'm saying? I give you some chances, but if you're not, improving, then I'm gonna have to get you up out of here, man, because my job is on the line as well. And if you're not, producing, then I can't allow you to stifle the entire team. I got to move you up out of here and give somebody else another opportunity, or recognize that that is an area of improvement or somewhere I got to reach to in free agency or in the draft. You get what I'm getting at? That's all I know. All this other stuff that they do where they sit around and go for 12 and 13 weeks and sit up here talk about fixing stuff but never really fix anything. I can't build with you on that. I don't even know what that is. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. I can't even put that in my mind frame how somebody would deal with that, man. But thank you for
Stay cool. Nobody gets hurt. Take the money out. All of it. Come on. Wasting my time now. Come on. Come on. Stop stalling.
Indeed, man, and that's one of the things that we see all the time from what's happening with the 2-9 Saints. Okay, we got issues here, we got issues there, we got issues there. Okay, we recognize all that. Let's just fix it. It is not. It's not a personal thing. They know it too. If you don't produce, then you got to go. That's just how it is. Because if you don't produce, it puts everybody's job, including the head coach's job, on the line. So it's not an environment, and that's supposed to be set up that way where it promotes everybody to do what they're supposed to do and go all the way out and not sit up here and collect checks like some of these other guys been doing, right? It puts supposed to be a pressure cooker to a degree, because it's supposed to boil, make the cream rise to the top, so to speak, right? And it's supposed to be accountability and straightening and checking going on this team, not patting people on the helmet and just watching guys fail and not putting the correct reps. And then at the end of the day, all this kind of this weak nonsense we see going on with the team. There's supposed to be guys that are upset about losing and don't take losing well, right? Because they have They have a responsibility to themselves. They got a responsibility to the team and to the supporters to go all the way out. And with the support base is upset, who the hell is you to walk up here calm and cool like Justin Reed do? Like, yeah, we good, we good. No, we not good, brother. Because a lot of times you can't always leave it on them because the reality is these people place themselves in some kind of bubble of reality that don't exist with the support base. No part of any of this is cool in my mindset. You get what I'm saying? And a lot of the support base is upset by this because they know that this team is not doing what they're supposed to do to be successful. And success eludes this team because they're not accountable, because they're not making the right moves and getting players out of here who are constantly getting beat. Number 51, constantly on tape getting beat. We do the breakdown on him. This guy shouldn't have a job on this team, but yet and still, will they do what is necessary to get guys like that off this team? Will they do that? That's the question. You know, that brings accountability. That let people know we're not going to allow you to play subpar like that. You're going to have to elevate and play. If you push any other type of mentality outside of that, then you just create an environment where guys just going to just collect checks and make excuses for each other. And I find it really interesting that we didn't get not one like player only meeting this year. A lot of these veterans have checked out. I've been said that these guys got 1 year left. They done checked out. If you're really pissed and you're a winner and you really want to win, I don't care what side the ball you're on. You're gonna be pissed off. You're gonna want player only meetings. You're gonna challenge your teammates. You're not gonna sit up here and pat them on the helmet and say we'll get them next time. No, no, no. It's not. That's not cutting it. Because every week you come out and you keep losing. And then, like I said, there's no fire in their stomachs, no fire in their bellies, there's no fire in their eyes. There's none of this is going on. It's just constant boobery upside down and in and around. And that speaks well to the weak mentality of the team. There's a lot of weak mentality players and mindsets that they're adapting, and that's why it's accounted to this losing. The play calling is suspect. A lot of it is shared all the way around. And if Kellen Moore is really serious about change, then he needs to start looking at himself. He needs to start challenging his play calling because these players don't know what he's doing. These plays are horrendous. Even Jim Mora talked about the Taysom Hill play. But the reality is when I looked at the Taysom Hill play, the one where he, like I don't like when they do that, right? When they need 1 yard, but they put Taysom in a shotgun and then snap the ball to him in the shotgun so he can run ahead to get 1 yard. So you place him 5 yards back to get 1 yard. I find that really stupid. I don't understand what that's for. And besides, putting him in a situation like that where he has to take a long snap like that increases the chances of something going wrong. And that's exactly what happened. Snap the ball to him underneath the center and let him forge ahead for the 1 yard as opposed to he has to gather up steam to push through for 1 yard. I can understand why that play was called. It was totally botched and ridiculous, but at the same time, I can understand because the previous play, Tyler Shuck had an easy touchdown throw to Taysom Hill. It was a play action move where Taysom got the ball, ran into the center, right? And the guy fell for him, think he had the ball. Then Taysom snuck from behind him, is wide open in the end zone. Tyler Shuck pulled the ball down and tried to run himself. That's why they pulled his ass out of there. Because he was supposed to throw that pass to Taysom, who was wide open in front of him in end zone. Instead, for whatever reason, he pulled the ball down and stumbled forward and into the hands of the Atlanta defender. And they pulled his ass out of there. And I said, well, I see what happened there. I see exactly what happened there. Go back. Well, we did it on Patreon, and I showed y'all why he did that. And I see why they ripped him out of there. He was supposed to throw that ball to Taysom Hill on that play because Taysom was wide open in the end zone. And for whatever reason, Tyler Shuck decided to become a runner because he stopped like he was going to throw the ball and then seen Taysom cutting and then for whatever reason turned into a runner. I don't understand what that was about. Maybe he was trying to show that the coach that he can run true tackle. I don't know what it was, but I can see why they pulled him off the field. But regardless or not, that's what kind of stuff you see on film and tape that's happening all the time. Like it's disjointness and people not totally on what they're supposed to do. You see blocks being missed, and it's I don't see a lot of confidence in the play calling. Almost like they're just telling them what to do, and the guy's going out there, okay, we're gonna do this, as opposed to them saying, hey man, listen, what did you run in college that you was really comfortable with, so we can do that here? Well, we did this, we did that. If it's your quarterback, you gotta have the signature, the offense for him, if this is the guy for you. But if we continue to have games like this, there are going to be questions on whether or not Shuck could be the guy for the future, right? And I really don't want to keep going year after year drafting quarterbacks. We did that like what 3 years in a row. We keep taking quarterbacks, to figure out which guy it is. So it's going to be 4 years in a row we get another one. I mean, so at some point, you're going to have to stick with the guy and build your offense around him. But like I said, some people not meant to be head coaches. Some people just don't have the temperament for it. And the word is still out on him, on Kellen Moore. Now, listen, I like Kellen Moore. I really do like Kellen Moore. I just think that some people are not meant to be head coaches because there's a lot of pressure that comes with it. Your players got to respect what you got going on. You have to be able to communicate that to them. And when they don't do well, you can't sit up here and let weeks go by without dealing with punishment for them for bad. And when they miss tackles or they miss kicks or when they drop passes or they drop touchdowns, and you go weeks after weeks without penalizing the people and then expect them to respect you. You can't do that. Maybe some players you can, but not all those players you can. You have to have a punishment system or a system in place that penalizes them when they hurt the team, drop passes, miss tackles, and the like, this sort of thing. You get what I'm getting at? This type of stuff. You cannot have that in what's going on with the team. So anyway, what I'm saying is, in the end, man, is that as a team, there's a lot of stuff to be worked on with the New Orleans Saints, 2-9, coming off, the one of the worst losses of the season to a division rival in the Atlanta Falcons. There was no energy in the game at all. It wasn't. It didn't even feel like a hate week game to me. Just like they was going through the motions, and it was just really dull and boring. The offense was just non-existent. They came out the first drive and fumbled the ball. They went through the motions. They were down there all this time, couldn't push it in on the 1 yard line. Didn't have the intestinal fortitude to get it in. So, like I said, then after the game, they come with a ton of excuses. And I love this. Taysom gets up there. I love the team, and that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. How you love and like somebody. This is business, man. Where people pay you to perform and make touchdowns and win, not to come up here with some love fest. We don't want to hear that. I'm sorry. You might be affectionate, but we don't want to hear that when it comes down to that unless you win it. Winning, you can open up the bag and be happy and all this other stuff. But when you're a 2-9 team and falling through the floor, getting embarrassed by your hated rivals, it's just a slap in the face for everybody, including the Who Dat Nation. And like I said, and I'm going to say it again, anytime you're losing games like this to the Falcons, and if you get swept by the Falcons, boy, the support base will ride your ass out of town real fast, losing to the Falcons, getting swept by the Falcons. So the word's still out on Kellen Moore and what he can do. Can he galvanize this team? But let me tell you, the supporters do not like you to be losing to the Falcons. I'm like the way they did in our own damn building. So I'm just keeping it all the way funky and trill all the way to the bank. What's up, T Dirty? Shout out to you, man. Good to see you in the building as well. Just hollering at you guys, man, right now. What's up, Jason? What's up? He said nobody does. That's right, Jason. L Dub, what's up, man? All right, what's up? Obviously gifted. What's up, bro? Good to see you. And I see you changed the tag right there. Right. So yeah, L Dub says it felt the same way I was when was the right. He says I like where it was the rivalry at because I didn't see it throughout the game. It was no rivalry. There was no rivalry. No sense of rivalry between the Saints and the Falcons. There was no pride because this team, from an offensive, the defense up to a point, I got to get a defense some because the defense actually had a touchdown. And what more could the defense? The defense had sacks, and I could have did a better job of slowing down Bijan Robinson, but the defense gave you a touchdown. The defense had sacks. The defense gave the offense short fields. Even one of the possessions the special teams did. Even the special teams were able to get you all the way down to right inside the red zone, and the Saints still couldn't do nothing with that in terms of the touchdowns. I don't count the field goals as an offensive score for the offense. I say that's an X for the offense. That's the special teams field goal. The only way the offense scores is if they get the touchdowns. The special teams come out and kick 3. So I give the offense no credit for that in any kind of manner. You might have gotten them in position for it, but in terms of points, that don't mean anything in terms of scoring. The offense had multiple times they need to take care of that, and that's not just been something for this game. That's been something that they can't get right for the duration of the season. We're heading to week 13. We have to travel to Miami, and we got a handful of games coming up against teams that are not really that good, right? So we'll have something like we'll have the Titans coming up soon, and they the worst team in the NFL. So it'll be the Jets and the we'll have a string of stankers coming up. Dolphins. We got the Titans, the Jets. So we'll have these teams basically battling out for the first draft pick in the draft for the Saints. So it's going to be interesting, man. With 60 practices or so that the Saints have had up until this point, I don't really see any real improvement consistently or any ideology that they're learning or doing anything right, which is troubling because as these other players leave, you bring other players in. That doesn't necessarily mean things are going to be successful because the coach has to acclimate these guys into the system and do it properly. I have not seen him do that consistently and well enough for his offense to make a word. That's Kellen Moore's offense that failed against against the Atlanta Falcons. That's them that's failing all year long. That is his play calling that we're seeing up to this point. It's too much east to west stuff, not enough vertical stuff going down the sideline. And in the film we broke down, there were at least 2 or 3 times that I showed you guys where they had wide open wide receivers literally running down the field with their hands open. But the quarterback he did see him on a couple of times and decided to go to check down. So I don't know what that is because usually the mentality of this quarterback is to throw the deep ball and wing it out. I don't know what his reservation was in this game. I don't know what it was, but there were at least 2 or 3 times in the game where they had wide receivers with one on and wide receivers that was in really agreeable positions in terms of where they were positioned with the cornerback and the safety. We covered it on the Patreon. We really did. So anyway, with that being said, fam, I'm gonna dip out on that. I just wanted to share the news with you guys. What's up, Arcane? Shout out to you, bro. Uh, I just wanted to go backwards. What's up, fam? I just wanted to give y'all that little extra work today, man. I know we got this Tuesday. I don't usually pop up here on Tuesday, but the Patreon is up for my fams. All right, obviously, Gifted says, what does Mickey need to be forced to make extremely obvious moves like this? This is disgusting and incomplete. Anyone else would have been fired already. That's the accountability thing that we deal with. We talk about the New Orleans Saints teams. We see that the um, a line, like I said, a line was drawn in the sand when Gail Benson says she won't fire Mickey Loomis. I'm not asking her to fire Mickey Loomis, right? I'm not asking for that because she's obviously gonna say no to that because she don't have a plan. Once she fired Mickey Loomis, what's she gonna do? Make Dennis Lauscher the guy? She don't have a plan. She's not trying to adopt any new plans. She's basically operating with a blueprint left by Tom Benson. She has no identity. You get what I'm getting at? Everything is done from the Saints side with people that Tom Benson left her, right? And these aren't the same people. These people have shifted because they know she don't know football, so they've really kind of stepped in a position where they assume power and control where they don't care, they just sucking up power. I'm not asking Gail Benson to fire Mickey Loomis. I'm not asking her to do that. The real point is what I want her to do is reformat the upper layer of the team. That's what I'm asking to do, not fire Mickey Loomis because she's never going to do that. He has 2 jobs, right? So he's a VP and GM. I wanted him to be removed from the general manager position and given to Kyle Hartley. You can still have Mickey Loomis there. You just won't have him there. He won't be visible. You get what I'm saying? He'll be less visible there and you will see more of the general manager than him. That is what I'm asking for. That's more realistic because she obviously won't do that because she don't have a plan of her own. She don't have an identity of her own. She doesn't want an identity of her own. Her thing is just to keep making money, to make as much money as possible. And she's the second richest person in the state behind the Chicken Man and Raising Cane. So her job is, I guess, to beat him, to be the richest person in the state. You see? But she's still the richest person in the state, and both the teams that she run are immense failures. The Saints haven't been in the playoffs in years. The Pelicans are just right now with 3 wins. They just beat somebody, but they're like 3-12 or something like that. I forget, but it's not good. But in the end, I'm not asking her to fire Mickey Loomis because in the end, she would never do that. But and even to ask her, it's more realistic to ask her to like a structural reformation But she won't even do that. She's not going to do an audit on her organization to figure out this, that, and the third. She's not going to do that. She'll tell somebody to do it and let them do it. And Mickey Loomis will keep doing the same thing, even though he was the one that brung Dennis Allen in, even though he has no accountability. He doesn't know what accountability is. He takes insult to people telling him that his draft picks are not hitting on anything, even though he can see that they are. But how dare you tell me that? Which is a major character flaw in a person I wouldn't even want anywhere around me in my organization or even doing business with me thinking like that. But this is what kind of stuff that they permit. She drew her line in the sand. The question is, will you do yours? That's the question. She drew her line in the sand. Will you draw yours? That's the question. I can't tell you to do nothing more than what you have the power to do yourself. So there will be no firing of no Mickey Loomis because Gail already put her foot down on that. She already said she's not selling the teams. Why would I sell my number one money makers? Right? We're stuck together pretty much is what Gail Benson is saying. We're stuck together. And Mickey told you that it was going to be a tough season and that's all this kind of stuff, which was a lie. Mickey Loomis didn't tell you at first it wasn't going to be no tough season. Mickey Loomis was trying to win. If he was not trying to win, there'd be no need to bring Brandon Cooks in here or to waive Brandon Cooks to get him off the team all of a sudden when you figured you was going to start winning. No, they tried to win, then started losing and then just gave up and then said, let's get all these other guys off the team. That's what happened. But they lie. They'll lie to you. They don't know you. They'll lie to you anyway. You just got to catch them. Mr. Bo says accountability, prayers, answers. Like I said, man, at the end of the day, this is what it is and how it is. We have to be able to see this stuff out. Like I said, the Blake Grupe thing was something that should have been happened. I ain't gonna lie to you. This should have been happened at least a month ago when he was missing those field goals. He was missing field goals in 3 games straight. Back-to-back games, the man was missing field goals, but he was still allowed to stay on the team. And I'm like, how'd that work? How did that work where he could just keep on missing field goals and stay on the team? Well, guess what? And with everything where it is, I guess they figured they had enough and they decided to put Mr. Grupe in the street and move on. So, and speaking of that, we're going to move on. So with that being said, on this Rare Tuesday broadcast, me coming at you guys, I'm going to get on up out of here. I appreciate you guys for chiming in. Y'all do me a service by spiking that like button. Hit the share button. What's up, Tasha? Shout out to Tasha. What's up, Dianita B? Shout out to you as well. Good to see y'all. Hit that like button for your boy. Appreciate y'all as always, man, for being here, man. And listen, I'm gonna holler at y'all tomorrow on our Wednesday broadcast. Saints Dolphins preview will be going over there on Wednesday, man. It's the day before Thanksgiving. It's Turkey Day coming up soon, man. So y'all, I'm gonna be hollering at y'all on Wednesday in the special broadcast as well, man. So y'all hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Much love to the fam, and I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Much love, peace.
Hey, New Orleans! Whether you're catching up on Saints news at Jackson Square, checking Pelicans scores in the Garden District, or staying updated on LSU while grabbing coffee in the French Quarter, there's one place that keeps you connected to everything that matters in our city. From Bourbon Street to the Superdome, from Preservation Hall to the Riverfront, New Orleanians are staying in the know with the whodatdaily.com. Your daily source for Saints, Pelicans, LSU, and all the sports, music, and culture that makes our city special. At work downtown, at a game in the Dome, or just relaxing by the Mississippi, wherever life takes you in the Big Easy, you can stay connected. Because when you're from New Orleans, you don't just live here. You stay in the NO. That's stay in the know. Visit the WhoDatDaily.com and never miss what matters most to Who Dat Nation.
Welcome to the Pro Shop, where we create authentic NOLA-inspired clothing for men, women, and children. From Saints jerseys to Pelicans gear, everything's crafted right here in New Orleans. Whether you're shopping the Pro Shop, the Pel Shop, or the Pro Shop Kids, we've got your whole family covered with genuine merchandise that represents our city's spirit. Check for